Hi there, how is it going? See you again in English Simplified channel. Right now we are going to cover experimental research design with one of its type, that is pre-experimental research design. In my previous video, I have discussed what an experimental research is. And this moment we are discussing its types one by one. Are you ready to rock? Let's get started. What, when and why is pre-experimental research? Well, talking about pre-experimental. As the name suggests, pre-experimental research happens even before the true experiment starts. This is done to determine the researcher's intervention on a group of people. This will help them tell if the investment of cost and time for conducting a true experiment is worth a while. Pre-experimental designs are called such because they often happen before a true experiment is conducted. Often, researchers want to see if their interventions will have an effect on a small group of people before they seek funding and dedicate time to conduct a true experiment. The pre-experimental design involves an independent variable that does not vary, or the sample is not randomly selected, and there is no control group. How pre-experimental is conducted? In order to answer this question, as there are three types of pre-experimental, then we have to discuss them one by one. Well, the three types of pre-experimental are 1. One-shot case study design. 2. One-group pretest-post-test design. 3. Static group comparison. Now let's see one by one. 1. One-shot case study design. This technique is also known as after-only design. In this technique, only one test unit is assigned a treatment, and then a single measurement is taken on dependent variable. The test units are not randomly assigned to the treatments, and the test units are selected by the researcher. Simply, here are the characteristics of one-shot study design. 1. This design practices the treatment of a single group. 2. It only takes a single measurement after the experiment. And 3. A one-shot case study design only analyzes post-test results. While one-shot case study is the most basic form of experiment, it has its own limitations. It does not allow the researcher to compare the measurement with a dependent variable before the treatment. Along with this, the measurement of one-shot case study can be affected by many extraneous variables, which can be controlled. This in turn affects the validity of the measurement. Therefore, this type of research is suitable for exploratory research rather than experimental research. This technique is opted only when it's the only solution to the problem. Let's see this example in order to have a better understanding. For example, a primary school teacher wants to see if a teaching method of number head together can cause her class to get average score of 8 in speaking. She tests it with only a class and sees the result. Here is the explanation of the one-shot case study design is conducted. One-shot case study design has only one group of sample, then the teacher/researcher gives treatment or teaches the class with number head together. After that, the researcher tests the student's speaking. Having tested the student's speaking, then the researcher analyzes the data to find out whether the result is as expected or not. But what if the result is as expected? Is it truly because the treatment? Let's say the average score of the students is 8. This result is questionable because there is no pre-test and control group. Now let's clarify the second type of pre-experimental, that is one-group pretest-post-test design. In one-group pretest-post-test design, only one group is involved which exposed to the treatment. Here, the researcher measures the subjects before and after the implementation treatment. It is the improvement over one-shot case study, as it allows researchers to compare the change in objects from before and after stages. Simply, here are the characteristics of one-group pretest-post-test design. 1. Like the previous one, this design also works on just one experimental group. 2. Pre-test is addressed before the treatment. 3. After the pre-test, then treatment is applied. 4. Having applied the treatment, then the sample is post-tested. Let's understand this by an example. For example, a primary school teacher wants to see if a teaching method of number head together can cause her students to have different score in speaking before and after teaching her class with number head together. She tests it or conducts an experiment with only a class and sees the result. In conducting and finding the answer, here are the procedures. First, the researcher chooses one class as the sample without randomization, then the class is given pre-test, that is a test before giving the treatment. After that, the researcher gives treatment or teaches the sample with number head together teaching method. Having given the treatment, again, the sample is tested, namely post-test. And in order to find the result, the researcher analyzes the data and makes a conclusion. Alright, now we've come up to the third type of pre-experimental, that is, static group comparison. In this technique, there are two groups upon which measurements are to be taken. The first group is experimental group, which is subjected to the treatment, and the other one is control group, which is not subjected to the treatment. Here, the measurement of experimental group is taken after being exposed to treatment, while the control group is measured without treatment. The outcome of the experiment is measured by comparing both the measurements. Here is its procedure. 1. This compares two groups. 2. One group is exposed to the treatment, while the other group is not exposed to the treatment. 3. The difference between the two groups is the result of the experiment. For example, a primary school teacher wants to see if a teaching method of number head together can cause her students to have different score in speaking before and after teaching her class with number head together. She tests it or conduct and treatment with only a class, while the other class is without treatment, and sees the result. This is how to conduct the research and find the answer. Static group comparison has two groups of sample, they are control and experimental group. Then the researcher only gives treatment to the experimental group. After the treatment, the researcher tests the samples, then the data is analyzed by comparing the means of control to experimental group or by t-test analysis. Summary and conclusion. Well, as we have discussed the three of them, here is the summary and conclusion, so that you are easier to understand and differentiate them. One short case study design. 1. This design practices the treatment of a single group. Or, there is no control group. 2. It only takes a single measurement after the experiment. Or, only post-test. 3. A one-shot case study design only analyzes post-test results, which is compared to the expected result. One group pre-test post-test design. 1. Like the previous one, this design also works on just one experimental group. Or, no control group. 2. But this one takes two measures into account, in which a pre-test and a post-test are conducted. 3. The data is analyzed by comparing the different means of pre-test from post-test. Static group comparison. 1. Conducted with two groups. 2. One group is exposed to the treatment. 3. The other group is not exposed to the treatment. 4. The difference between the two groups is the result of the experiment. Well, that's a pre-experimental design. Hopefully, our discussion has given you a better comprehension. And our next topic of discussion is quasi-experimental research design. By the way, don't forget to support this channel by your subscribe. Thanks and ta-ta.